Okay, if everyone would like to sit down, we'll call the meeting to order. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. We'll try to run through this as quickly as possible. There's a number of items we have to read, preface everything. So anyway, if you'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, Melissa, do roll call, please.
Councilman Sherry. Here. Councilman Green.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland.
Here.
Councilman Solomani.
Here.
Mayor Ashworth is on Zoom.
Okay. We do not have any public comment tonight. I did want to mention one thing. I believe it was last Friday evening, the Ingalls were in an accident, traffic accident. And I know that most of you know the Ingold, Rich and Barb. But anyway, from the council, we hope for their successful recovery from their injuries. And I guess we all just have to be real careful when we're on the highways. So
Little update on that. I
Yes.
saw Barb and Rich yesterday. Rich is getting around just fine, got a few bumps and bruises. Barb has a broken rib. She is home, recovering. Her family, the kids are there with them. So they're doing pretty well and they're well taken care of at this time.
thank you, Mark. All right, approval of meeting minutes for September 21st, 2022 council meeting.
I motion that we approve the minutes from the September 21st, 2022 regular meeting.
Second. All right, Melissa, will you?
Councilman Green.
Yes,
Councilman Sherry.
Yes,
Councilman Solomani.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland.
Yes. Okay, reports, Frank. City Administrator.
Just one thing, Fire Prevention Week is next week. And the chief asked me to pass that along to everyone. Fire Prevention Week next week.
Check your
Fire
alarms,
Prevention
but-
Week next week.
don't set your house on fire.
Put the batteries in your fire alarms, please.
and
All
your
right.
CO2.
Oh, yes, and CO2, thank you. We want you all safe and be here next year. All right, Finance Director Paul.
Good evening, council. Just wanted to give you a quick gaming industry update. We have the data from August. As you know, it's running late behind from the Division of Gaming, the raw data. But August was very good for Cripple Creek. We outperformed both Blackhawk and Central City, which allowed us to gain market share. It was also unusual in that August was the highest month of this year, where July normally is always the highest month. Cripple Creek was up 3.3% from July, where Blackhawk decreased 6.5% and Central City decreased 4.6%. So we like to see when that happens. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. All right, public hearing. Item number 1, first reading to approve ordinance 2022-13 for a request by the Cripple Creek and Victor School District for the waiving of water and sewer tap fees and infrastructure costs in the amount of $52,000 for the development of the school's new building trades mini factory at 410 North B Street, Kennedy. There you go.
Thank you, council, mayor, pro tem. Mrs. Smith. Do you have a PowerPoint to go through this? The school is currently constructing a new building trades mini factory. Well, they'll be teaching construction and similar type trades, my understanding in there. And it's on the south side of the existing high school building. And right there, the site location up in the northwest corner of this town, everybody knows where the high school is, and it's an ordinance to waive the sewer and tap fees and construction costs. Next. And of course, the site plan, you see the white box in the middle. south of the high school. It's a separate building and just off East Street. And a picture of the site. So right there in the gravel area is where the building will be constructed. And some more information, they are proposing a 4-inch sanitary sewer. That's the basis for the tap fees. And there'd be a 1-inch tap for the water supply. And can't quite make it out, but there is a little square in the bottom or in the middle towards the rear of the building is restrooms, and they have 2 restrooms, each with 2 lavatories and 2 water closets. Total of 8 fixtures, and tap fees are based on $200 per fixture, in addition to the base tap fee for the size of the lines. And this explains it. Water, 1-inch water line is $7,000. You have the $1,600 for the fixtures, gives you $8,600 for the water taps, sewer tap. For a 4-inch sewer line is $40,000. Add another $1,600 for the fixtures, gives that $41,600 for the sewer tap, for a grand total of $52,000. I think that's all I have on slides. Any questions I could address for council?
What's the city's cost on this? Our actual cost, to put it in.
Well, taps are the right to access either the water or dispose of your sewer. And the size is based on the assumed amount of usage. And so it's the right to use it. The actual cost, there's the cost of the meter and the piping is estimated at $1,800 to give us that total of $52,000.
That's, and then the tap is 200, is that the actual fixture?
Well, tap fees are the right to use the infrastructure, use the sewer and to use the water. The actual cost of installation, there's an estimated $1,800 for that's for the pipe going to the building or to the property line and to pay for the meter to do that. Thanks.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from the public?
Do we have anybody here from representing the school
Yes.
tonight?
There we go.
Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone.
Please, if you'll identify yourself, please.
I'm Miriam Mondragon, Cripple Creek Victor School District Superintendent. Good evening, members of the council. You know, I came to you over a year ago to tell you about this project, and so it's a long time coming. We finally broke ground, but this is about so much more than a building, and you all know that. We currently have 46 students in our building trades program. We're using a curriculum in which our students will graduate with industry recognized certification. And so by you guys helping us out, you're helping our youth enter into a profession and also offer our community additional affordable housing options.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Mondragon?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
In your letter here, you do admit the tap fees are not a significant cost. Is this an actual burden to pay these in full?
Yeah, so I will tell you, we are currently over budget on this project. And so anything that we can save, of course, is our goal.
And then also one question, you speak of reinvesting any money saved in the CTE programs. There are grants available. Are there grants available for like your equipment and that sort of thing?
So we were awarded the RISE grant, $1.49 million, and we are able to use a large portion of that for equipment and supplies and materials, but that grant could not be used for any capital construction costs.
Okay.
Council, any other questions? Ms. Mondragon? No. All right, then. There's no other public presentation, then can I ask for a motion?
I motion that we approve ordinance number 2022-13, authorizing the waiver of water and sewer tap fees, infrastructure costs for the development of the Cripple Creek Victor School District, RE1 Building Trades Manufactory Educational Building in the city of Cripple Creek.
Second. All right, Melissa, if you'll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Glenn,
Yes.
Councilman Green,
Yes.
Councilman Janetti,
Yes.
Councilman Solomon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, Mary, let's get some kids trained over there.
Oh, we're in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye.
All right, now we get into where I have to read the statements, so bear with me here. What we're moving on to public hearings, number 2. Consider approval of resolution 2022-32 for a request by Gibraltar Development for a conditional use permit to construct 24 residential townhomes in the C1 district of certain real property legally described as lots 1 through 8, block 3, Cripple Creek First Edition, and lot 24, block 9, Cripple Creek Freeman Placer Edition, located at the northwest corner of First Street and Warren Avenue in Cripple Creek, County of Teller, Colorado. And now I need to read this first. I will now open the public. See, we are moving from council to planning commission. As soon as I'm done reading this, I will now, or do I need to?
You're correct.
Okay, all right.
Perfect.
I will now open the public hearing on the application for a conditional use permit to construct 24 residential townhomes in the C1 district at certain real property legally described as lots 1 through 8, block 3, Cripple Creek First Edition, and lots 24, block 9, Cripple Creek Freeman Placer Edition, located at the northwest corner at First Street and Warren Avenue, Cripple Creek, Colorado. Notice this hearing has been given as required by the Cripple Creek Development Code, and copy of such notice and of the publisher's affidavit are hereby made a part of the record of this proceeding. In considering whether the conditional use permit should be approved, this hearing will address the approval standards and criteria set forth in section 4.6.2 of the Cripple Creek Development Code. The procedure to be followed for public hearings will be as follows. City staff will first present and summarize the case. 2, the applicant or the applicant's representative may present any evidence in favor of the granting of the application. 3, at the conclusion of the applicant's case, any persons wishing to speak in support of the application may present evidence. 4, any persons wishing to speak against the application may then present evidence. 5, then I will ask for a motion closing public comment. 6, the applicant may then present any rebuttal evidence. All presenters and witnesses will identify themselves and provide their addresses before speaking. All statements and testimony shall be addressed to the council and not to the applicant. At the conclusion of the hearing, the city council will reconvene and will deliberate and may make a decision on the application. The council may grant the application, deny the application, or grant the application with conditions. Are there any objections to the jurisdiction of the planning commission or of the city council to the form or substance of these proceedings? Any objections? None. Hearing none, the city staff will now present the case.
Good evening, Ken Hartsfield, Planning Department. I do have another presentation. Briefly go through this. It's a moment.
We're having a few problems with the equipment tonight.
Well, the basic reason we're here tonight is for conditional use permit. Okay. So we're here for a conditional use permit. The applicant's proposing to build residential structure in the C1 industrial zone district. That requires a conditional use based on the development code. So you see the location is at the northwest corner of First Street and Warren. Next. Whoop, wrong one, actually. Right project with a different case. Well, no, let's go move forward. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go back to the last picture, please. I'm mistaken. Anyway, so I just shows the location. They are proposing 24 townhomes. And we're all in agreement that they're townhouses. There'll be 4 separate groupings, two of 7 units and 2 of 5 units. And this picture of the site, looking from the intersection, it does slope approximately 31 feet from the northwest corner down to where the fire hydrant is. And another view, again, showing the slope, and basically it's undeveloped property. There is no trees or vegetation of note, just native grasses at this time. So let's look at the zoning and adjacent properties. So you see the townhomes in the middle in the darker blue, the C zoning district in this lighter blue, and you see how that extends all around. And then to the north is the BB district, and then to the west we have R2 residential. The dark purple is the B downtown business area. Also looking at it, the properties to the west are vacant. To the south it's pretty much vacant. There's one small house and then we have an old hotel down there. To the east is the bank, and to the north are vacant properties. And to the northwest are a few houses, and one under construction in that area right now. So this one next. And again, it's these 9 lots that'll be incorporated into one. They will be replatted to create townhomes. Is my understanding, these are for future individual sales. So they will have separate sewer lines and water to each unit. Next. And here's actually, it's an older view of what they're proposing, the applicants here tonight, and I understand they have some updated drawings to present. It might give you a better understanding of what they will look like. And then just included in the packet again, here is the basic site plan. And again, the 7 units and the 5 units. And they're set with a 5-foot setback and 10 feet or more than 10 feet between the buildings themselves. So part of the issues with the conditional use permit in the C1 zone is there are no dimensional standards for residential projects. So they're coming forward and presenting this project, and they will ask me to do this and establish what those dimensional standards are for this project. So one of them is the 5-foot setback, which is consistent with other residential properties, and is consistent with townhomes in the BB zoning district. Other uses in the C1 would have different zoning or setbacks, which might be more than what's required. And I think I presented that in the discussion earlier. 10 foot. So as you'll see later in the conditions, I just want to establish that the 5-foot minimum setback is established. And for building code purposes and everything else, we're going to have to maintain 10-foot separation between the separate groupings of buildings. And so again, just a quick look. This is the lower level plan, and it shows garages, single car garages for each unit. And those garages access for the lower southern units access Warren Street And for the northern units, they access directly to the alleyway. Next. And then elevations, this is a view, it's the front elevation, but it's from the interior courtyard. And so just a view, and it does step down with the grades on the property with that 31-foot slope. There's a few feet between each one of those units. And this is basically the view from the rear elevation, which is from the alley in this particular case, and be similar look from Warren Street and kind of an opposite hand situation. Again, stepping down with a separate townhomes to adjust to the grade. And then just to go into the review criteria, there's 7 criteria that need to be addressed. Is this a benefit to the residents and visitors and the economy of the city? So as far as the residents, it's 24 new units is certainly a plus there. Visitors will have the support of the residents who live there. I anticipate if it's staff housing for people working in town, anyone gets a base there. And for the economy, it certainly increases the uses and value of the community. Will it overburden infrastructure or services in town? The sewage and water is adequate to service this, or some improvements that will be made and needed, but other services will not overburden those requirements. Is it detrimental to the existing or planned uses in the adjacent zoning areas? It's undeveloped, so we don't know what those uses are. The nearest structure is the bank across the street first. It won't have any detrimental effect to what the bank's doing. It does have the BB zone to the north. This type of structure, townhomes, is a permitted use in the BB zoning district. So any impact it's creating is no more than if it were built in that BB zone, say the lots immediately north of where this is proposed. So it doesn't have any more detrimental effect than if it were built in the zoning of BB zoning district. Meets or exceeds the standards for the zone. Well, again, as a conditional use, there are no standards for the residential project in the zone. One thing I didn't mention was the height of the structure. It is proposed to be 3 stories tall. Parking on the main level, basically living on the second level. There are 2 and 3 bedroom units. The 3 bedroom units will have a bedroom on the second level. And on the upper level, there will be 2 bedrooms. So the overall height, our height definitions are by number of stories. So this is 3 stories. 3 stories is permitted height for townhomes in the BB zoning district. And seems reasonable for this. The overall height of a unit from the ridge line to the bottom of the garage floor is approximately 40 feet. So it meets, there are no standards, so we're establishing the standards through this conditional use permit. Is it compatible with the surrounding areas? And will it not harm health, safety, or welfare? Being constructed to code, it's going to meet all the health and safety requirements. There should be no detriment to the welfare. And as there is no other development currently adjacent to this, it would seem compatible and be compatible with what future development may occur based on the zoning district. So it doesn't support the intent and act really of the zoning district. The zoning district is C1 industrial. So it is not industrial per se. But if we went back to look at the zoning and the use map, you don't have to go there, but there's a number of residential projects that have been approved in the past in this area of the C1 zoning. And due to the slope to do a larger industrial project, fabrication plant, to deal with those grades and the severe rock soils that are underneath, it would be difficult to generate a project that would, if you needed a large flat floor surface for any fabrication or warehousing and that type of thing, which would be the intent of use. So this while not fully in the intent, is a reasonable application of the zoning and use in this district based on the physical constraints of the site. I think that's all I have. So we do recommend approval with conditions. And I'd like to walk through those because there are a few changes to that. Anyway, so the 5-foot minimum setback, as we mentioned before, this reflects what was proposed on their site plan. We are asking, city's asking that they install sidewalk, curbs and gutters from First Street past the alley up to Masonic Avenue. And that's so that the sidewalks will be continuous with other sidewalks in town, and there is a safe path to get to these new units. So while the distance from the alley to Masonic is not adjacent immediately to the property, Public Works and Planning is requesting that that be installed. And that may be something to discuss further with the applicant. We had, in the package I presented to you, we had a requirement that they improve the alley from First Street all the way to A Street, all the way through the block. In talking with the fire department and Public Works and reviewing more details in the plan, they will pave and improve the alleyway from First Street to the end of their property on the west. And that is the access for their parking lot. So that'll be asphalt. But extending the alleyway improvements, the asphalt all the way to A Street is not a requirement any longer. It was a further discussion with fire and Public Works. So I've taken that off from the requirements that was in the packet that was submitted to you. Again, other ones are the same as presented, make improvements to Warren adjacent to the property. And there's a couple options on how that gets developed. So we're working with Public Works and the applicant to have a resolution on that. Improvements to sewer and water infrastructure adjacent to the property to serve the project. So that's pretty straightforward adjacent to the project. Where it ties into the existing sewers. There is a existing sewer line in the alley behind the project, which extends to basically Second Street. It's a clay tile, and we need to verify the condition of that tile before we can. So there may be improvements, but it's anticipated that it's adequate to handle the project. If it would need to be improved based on poor condition, that would be going back to the applicant to make those improvements. Stormwater drainage improvements. Our code requires that there be no more than historic flows from the property. Since it's all native grasses, there's a large portion that would soak into the ground and not run off. And when we look at the plan, it's pretty much, I'd say, probably stronger than 80% impervious surface that's proposed. And so with that runoff from that 80% of the property would be increased, it needs to be addressed by the applicant, either through some retention ponds, or infrastructure improvements downstream to take it to storm sewer. Near storm sewer is in Second Street. So there's a block worth of possible improvements that may be necessary. And again, we're exploring options with Public Works and the engineers to see what the runoff capacity needs to be to comply with that. But just wanted the condition that they do have to address that in their development. So any condition or any questions that staff or council may have at this point?
Great, Tim,
All right, thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
leave their presentation.
Okay, then the applicant or the applicant's representative may present any evidence in favor of the granting of the application. Gibraltar. You'll please give us your name and address, please.
My name is Mike Beatty. I'm a member of Gibraltar Development. The address is 4217 Ashby Field Drive, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80923. I put together a tiny bit of background I'd like to share with the members of City Council, And then we're going to get on with our presentation. COVID wasn't my friend. I didn't do well with COVID. So I did some research and decided to save my marriage and get out of the house, I'd flip a house in Cripple Creek. I met with the building and planning department a number of times. And no matter which direction I went, I couldn't make the numbers work financially to support flipping the house. I advised the building department that I'd continue to find a project and continue to look for a project to flip, and I couldn't find one. One of the building department employees, for lack of a better way to say it, basically dressed me down and pretty much told me that Cripple Creek needed housing. They needed lots of housing. So I took it in. I realized that it probably was wasting my time trying to do a one-off flip to get out of the house a little bit. So per her recommendation, she suggested I put together a group of investors and build some houses that are needed in Cripple Creek. I originally came to Colorado in 1994 from Texas. I was brought here to be a construction manager for a casino renovation that was owned and managed by a friend of mine who's an investor out of Texas. After the casino opened, the investor and my buddy sold the property, the casino, to another group of investors. He went back to Texas. I bought a home in Rainbow Valley, just south of here, just above Divide, and lived there for 25 years. I basically kept pondering this idea. I tracked my old buddy down, didn't talk to him in about 10 years. His life went one direction, mine went another. And I asked him a question. I said, Mark, we had a good time in Cripple Creek while we were working there. You want to go back and build some houses? So here I am today. None of this would be possible, in my view, if I hadn't have been scolded, for lack of a better way to say it, by a city employee for steadfast determination to do everything in our power to steer resources to this housing problem in effort to make a change in Cripple Creek. And I want to take this opportunity to thank her and to share this with City Council. Members of the council and people that are here, Renee Mueller went above and beyond to personally drive housing in Cripple Creek. And I think at least at my level, I think Gibraltar Development owe her kind of a debt of gratitude, because without her push, I candidly wouldn't probably be here today, and nor would the representatives from Allegro Design be here with me. So I wanted to thank you for that time to share that brief comment with you. I'm going to introduce Brian Dutton and John Gillen with Allegro Design, who have been instrumental in helping make this idea brought forth a year and a half ago to a point where we hope we get approval and we're ready to start building some homes in Cripple. So without any delay, let me introduce Brian Dutton and John Gillen.
Thank you. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Brian Dutton with the Allegro Design Company. Address is 1760 Highway 24, Woodland Park, Colorado. I started out my career designing homes in Teller County. That was about 18 years ago. And I haven't left. It's been fantastic. We've designed a bunch of houses. I've designed houses in the Cripple Creek area as well. About 6 or 7 months ago, I was approached by Mike with Gibraltar Group saying, hey, I've got a piece of property. We're looking at putting some townhomes on it in Cripple Creek. Would you guys be willing to come out and look at it? The answer was emphatically yes. We would love to help you. We would love to help grow Cripple Creek because Cripple Creek needs it. So with that being said, we dove into researching the site. What does it take to do it? How do we need to design for it? What are we looking for when we design? What specifically do we need for housing in the community? And after lots of thoughts and lots of food involved with it, we came up with, let's see how many townhouses we can effectively put on one property to help support the community with housing. We thought, we planned, and here we are today with the plans that you guys see in front of you. And actually, they are slightly different from the elevation as we have continued to work through with the civil engineer on grades that we have existing and proposed. Our whole thought process behind this is to make sure that we design a building that is easily constructed, safe, pretty. We want this to be a beautiful community that will help spur more growth. This is also the start of 3 total developments with Gibraltar Group that include townhouses, include commercial development for store frontage property, whether that be office spaces or a hair salon, maybe even a realtor's office, things like that, maybe even a small, but also a large single family community that we're hoping that this just spearheads straight on through. Before we get into the pictures are, again, are a little different than what we have, Ken has presented before you guys. It has been wonderful to work with city employees to look at the project in the front and make sure that we plan appropriately so that when it's presented for approval today and presented for building approval and building permit, that we dot our i's and cross our t's. We want to make sure that we're working with the city and with the city employees and building officials to make sure that this goes through easily. We like following the rules, so we want to follow the rules. So let's go ahead and open up the pictures. So we have spent a lot of time working with grades to make sure that this is very easily built to the site so that we're not putting a burden on the site above us. We want to work with the natural grade, and we all live in the mountains. We understand the mountains come and go and they grow and they dip. There we go. So this is actually a picture looking from West Warren, looking towards the northeast. This would actually be from the corner of First and Warren. This is from First Street. The goal is to, again, make this work with the property as it sits, with little hurt to the property. We want to design this for the property specifically. We want the community. We want people to enjoy living there. We want people to buy these. We want people to be here and stay here for the long haul. As you can see with the colors, this is a preliminary thought. This is not a set in stone colors and finishes. We still have to work on that. But I wanted to put something on paper for you guys to see, to show. This is an idea. This is what it could look like. I think it would be a great representation and modern appeal to the community to bring in wonderful housing. It has been a pleasure to partner with Gibraltar Group and the city to make this a very fun project, but also a community for employees to possibly buy, for new families to move in and buy and live in this community, and hopefully in the future grow into businesses and single family residents. Thank you, City Council.
Thank you. Okay, moving along. Any person wishing to speak in support of the application may present their evidence or their opinion right now.
No, not to voice my opinion, but I did want to note that I did receive one email in favor of the project. And I did have two other people inquire about the project, but they didn't have any concerns or appreciation.
Thank you. All right, so there's, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, Reed.
You know what I tried to resist, didn't you? Reed Granger, offices at 150 East Bennett in Cripple Creek. This is a project that really needs to get going, to get underway. Because of some strange things that appear in the Cripple Creek zoning code. This property was essentially not able to be developed for any uses for a long time, just because it happens to be within the gaming zone. And a lot of the owners felt that that eventually somebody would want to build a casino on it, so the prices were out of whack. Gibraltar was able to get a hold of the property at prices that made sense for a residential project. The water and sewer lines are relatively close in Cripple Creek terms. And so I think that it will probably help to spur some other potential developers off dead center to see this one actually start to come out of the ground. You know, as we all know, there's a lot of single family construction that's going on and that's completed, but this will be the first cluster of homes that will be in this particular part of the town. So I think that while we all wait and anticipate the time when somebody's going to build a 300 unit project, it kind of helps to look at the community to scatter some of the smaller projects with more units in them around the town so that they're not all concentrated in one area.
Thank you, Reed. Appreciate it. Anyone else in support? I'm sure. Yeah, thank you.
Donna Brazil, Home Colorado Realty, 491 Little Topsy Drive, Cripple Creek. This is awesome. And what's really nice about your design is the roof pitch, because we have to keep in mind we are historic, and when we start doing all these flatter roofs, we lose that flavor. So I think it's really, really important. Number one, we desperately need housing. I've talked to pretty much all of you about that. And I would love to see this happen and get some people in here and give our families places to live. So thanks.
Thank you, Donna. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm Matt Merrill from 409 East Carr. I'm also the banking center manager of the bank across the street. I believe that a conditional use permit for the industrial zone seems fair, because what industrial zone is there? It's all vacant. People need housing. We need to grow our town. We need places for people to live. And I think it's a well thought out design, and the intentions are there. And working with Mike a little bit, He seems an honest man. And I think that we should do whatever we can to help him.
All right, thanks, sir. Okay, anyone else? All right, anyone who may be opposed to the application, please present your opinion evidence. No one? Okay. All right, did the council have any questions?
I have lots of them.
Okay, am I allowed to? Okay, go ahead.
I mean, typically at this point, you would ask for a motion to close public comment, and then you could have
Okay.
council.
All right, I'll do that.
Motion of close public comment.
Second. Okay, you vote please, closing public comment.
Councilman Green,
Yes.
Councilman Missionary,
Yes.
Councilman Solomon.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland.
Yes. All right, then we'll open up for council to ask questions. Missy?
Okay, I don't know which one of you folks will be able to answer. You might have to trade off. In looking at the new picture, thank you very much. The one in our packet was not very attractive. I do like the upgraded design. The driveways on the south side buildings, they'll be coming out. They'll be backing out onto Warren.
Yes.
Do you know right now the approximate grade? Because that one rendering looked in the lay of the land is pretty steep. And winter is not friendly up here. My concern is somebody backing out on the, icy morning and not being able to stop. And there is some visibility issues coming up from the motel and also coming down from First. So what is the grade there? Do you know approximately?
The grade is still to be determined. We are still working with the civil engineer, but the goal is to help alleviate that steepness
Okay,
on that southern side. We've also worked to help alleviate some of the steepness on the northern side in the alley as well, but we do not have the final grades as of yet.
okay, so you're working on it. Cool. And then also the courtyard running down the center. I couldn't tell. What is the width of that gonna be, like from staircase to staircase?
It's going to be approximately 11 to 13 feet as you go east to west.
North to south. Running down the center of the
Running down the
units.
center, so we've got north, south units and they run like this.
Yeah,
Down the
going,
center from
East
east
to west,
it'll be
okay.
approximately 11 feet. Going west, it'll end up being about 13 feet as the property does open up just a little bit. Again, working with proposed grades, we're working to try to alleviate stairs on the southern portion and actually make those patios instead of decks. So again, trying to alleviate actually open up that courtyard per se area, so it's a bit more functional.
okay, and one more, might be a little bit premature. Do you know about what selling price you're trying to get these to come in at?
Selling price.
To be very candid, until we work through a couple civil issues, we can't put a fixed price on them. We are trying to make them as affordable as current building materials
Mhm.
will allow. I can hazard a guess, probably in the low 300s. That may be high, it may be low. At this point in time, we're just not sure. We hope to have a solid answer for that within the next 30 days.
Oh. I'm done.
Okay, council, any other questions? No. I just have, well, actually, this applies to a lot of projects that are being presented to council. I'd like, personally, I'd like to see some trees and shrubbery around a lot of these projects. I don't know if you have that in mind, but I've noticed that what we've been presented with over the last couple of years, it's been pretty sterile. So that's just my opinion. Okay. All right, council, we as city council, we're back in city council. Do we have a motion to, do we have a motion? To consider approval of resolution 2022-32.
So moved.
No, are you going to motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna motion. A motion that we approve. With your.
On your agenda.
Yes, right. Motion to approve resolution 2022-32 for the request by Gibraltar Development for conditional use permit to construct 24 residential townhouses in the C3 or C1 district at a certain realty property legal description as lots 1 through 8, block 3, Cripple Creek First Edition, and lot 24, block 9, Cripple Creek Freeman Placer Edition, located at the northwest corner of First Street and Warren Avenue in Cripple Creek, County of Teller, Colorado.
Second. Okay, Melissa, vote please.
Councilman Trenary,
Yes.
Councilman Green,
Yes.
Councilman Salamani.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland.
Yes. All right, well, thank you. Appreciate it. Now we can move along here. All right. New business, consider approval of resolution 22-31 to establish fees associated with short-term rentals. Jeff Moser. Where's Jeff? There's Jeff. There he is.
Good evening, City Council. This is a resolution in addressing the ordinance 2022-31 that you approved at the last meeting. This resolution is to set the fee pricing as described in that ordinance. It included a permit fee, a late application fee, and an appeal hearing processing fee that you've got there in front of you. The cover letter that came with this resolution explains how those fees were created and for what reason they're there. If you have any questions, let me know, but this will allow us to move forward on our short-term rental ordinances and instituting the new policies. Are there any questions on the fees and how they came about?
Council, one question. Public have any questions? Okay. Do we hear a motion?
I make the motion to approve resolution 2022-31, establishing fees associated with short-term rentals.
Second. Melissa, vote please.
Councilman Trenary,
Yes.
Councilman Green,
Yes.
Councilman Salamani.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
All right, new business B. Consider approval of employee health care and ancillary benefits renewal. Heather, oh, you're in front of us, sorry.
Frank told me to hurry up. Good evening, council. Thank you for your time tonight. So as it explains in your memo, we just have a 3% renewal increase for 2023 for medical, which is awesome these days. There is no change in the price for dental or vision or any of the other benefits. So we are recommending that we approve and stay with everything that we've had in the past. We worked with Paul and we're looking at, if y'all approve the budget, increasing the dependent coverage. If somebody wants to put a spouse or children on their coverage from $3,000 to $3,500 a year. So we have about 9 people right now that have dependents on there. We don't know that any will add, but it will at least help the people that have people on there now. We haven't increased that in quite a few years. So, and another thing that we wanted to point out, there's Public Sector Healthcare Group has added a new plan. We're going to give it a year to kind of see how it goes for anybody else that adds it. And we'll look more into it and potentially offer that to our employees also as another alternative. We currently offer 2 different plans. And then we're pretty excited about public sector healthcare group is partnering with some people and they're going to be doing an early retiree program starting in 2024, where if you're 55 to 65 years old and there are other parameters, I think you have to have been enrolled for a year and such, you can continue your benefits. You and your spouse can continue your benefits through them. So.
Excellent. Council, any questions? Heather? Okay. All right, do we have a motion?
I motion that we approve, the recommendation of staff for the healthcare and ancillary benefit renewal.
Second.
Melissa, vote please.
Councilman Solomani?
Yes.
Councilman Reed?
Yes.
Councilwoman Trenary?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Liberline?
Yes.
Thank you.
Heather, and Carol and Paul, thank you for keeping the insurance down. Appreciate it. I'm sure it wasn't easy.
Thank you.
Yeah. It saves a lot of money for the city, that's for sure. Okay, new business C, consider approval of lease with UC Health within the medical plaza, Paul Harris.
This is a continuation of an existing lease. This is for 4 years with them. As you know, they are really a key to being in our community, having healthcare services. Otherwise, people have to drive at least 45 minutes away. We're super happy to have such an outstanding system in our town, and the fact that you can have your healthcare taken care of there, and then if you have more of a bigger issue, you can go down to the heart facility or one of their other facilities. It's a huge benefit for the community. So we are asking council to approve a renewal of the lease. They will continue to pay $600 a month or $7,200. And both that revenue and the expense associated with the building are built into the 2023 budget.
Thanks, Paul. Council, any questions? Nope. Okay, vote please, Melissa.
How about a motion for?
Oh, yeah, motion. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Missy. You got it, babe.
I move that we approve the lease with UC Health within the medical plaza for another year.
Second. All right, Melissa, vote please.
Councilman Reed?
Yes.
Councilman Solomani?
Yes.
Councilwoman Trenary?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Liberline?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank Paul, appreciate it. Okay, new business D, consider approval of an application from Gibraltar Development for a waiver of water and sewer tap fees for 24 residential townhomes in the C1 district. Ken?
All right, see you again tonight. This is for the project that the conditional use was just approved for, and for the 24 townhomes, you have brief thing. So for 24 townhomes, the sewer taps are $4,000, the water taps are $4,000. So $8,000 per unit. That's the project. So I got my notes in the presentation. So this would fall under the existing, all right, same location. Next. It's the same location, townhomes you just reviewed. Next. Old picture of what they might look like. Floor plan, what it might look like. Here we go. So 4,000 for tap fees times 24. 24 times 4,000 is $96,000. Sewer tap fees, 4,000 times 24 is another $96,000 for a total request of $192,000 in tap fees. The applicant will pay for the connections and meters, some total of $31,000 roughly. So based on the ordinance that was passed for development incentives, council has the opportunity to pass all, none, or some intermediate portion. So any questions?
Council, any questions?
No, but I have kind of an opinion.
Okay.
previously, what we've done over the last year has been on small projects. You know, 2, 3, 4 houses at a time. In my mind, the city can absorb that as we're starting to move into some of these larger projects. I think we need to consider, rather than waiving 100%, starting to figure out maybe do, you know, a portion we can waive, a portion not. Because as they presented, they are looking at doing a very large project, and I fear that if we keep just approve, we're gonna be, you know, eventually out several millions of dollars that I don't think the city can afford right now. And that's my opinion, so I don't know if you wanna discuss a portion or what you guys' opinion would be.
Yeah, I'll put my 2 cents worth in. It's my understanding when we originally passed this, that we have graduated as time went along, graduated percentage of what the council is willing to approve on larger projects. Yeah, it's, I'm afraid this money that we are foregoing goes to public works, and we have a lot of projects, a lot of things happening in public works, like the equipment falling apart. And again, I think that we're going to have to take a real good look at all of this, but initially was to get your projects going, and it's starting to work. So I just think that either one, we set a percentage or approve as written. Any other?
Nothing to add. Except for maybe possibly we could do a work session in the near future to revisit some of this. If we could, please.
But anyway, I want to see these projects on, you know, on the road, and get them done for the community. So, all right, let's see, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I move we approve the incentive to waive the fees, city tap fees for the application for Gibraltar Development for the waiver of tap and sewer fees on the 24-unit residential townhouse in district in the C1 district, as stated prior to this.
100%.
100%. Well, do we have a second?
That would be located on Realty property northwest corner of First Street and Warren Avenue, lots 1 through 8, block 3, first edition, 24 or lot 24, block 9, Freeman Placer edition, Cripple Creek, Colorado.
We have a second? Second. All right, well, let's vote, please.
Councilman Shaneri,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Overline,
Yes.
Councilman Reed,
Yes.
Councilman Solomon.
Yes. All right, last item on the agenda, consider a request by Matt, folks, for the waiving of water and sewer tap fees and infrastructure costs in the amount of $6,000 for the development of a single family residence at 410 West Golden Avenue per ordinance 2021-09. Ken.
Yes, back here again. World Standard Construction, that folks has a house currently under construction at 410 West Golden. And he has paid tap fees on that property in the amount of $6,000. Beginning of the year, tap fees did increase to be $8,000. There it is on C Street and West Warren. Next. And then the square box is the house that's currently under construction, and he proposes to build 2 additional houses on that corner area. So that's the one house under construction, and picture of the adjacent lots. And so 3 taps he's asking for a new tap, 3/4 inch with a residential sewer tap, $4,000 each. That's the same for the second property. And then for the third is what he's paid for the first tap and water feed, $6,000. So it totals out to be $22,000 in this request. The $6,000 that's been paid is asking to be refunded, and the balance to be waived in the future development. Again, he will be paying the cost of the IPEN meter for each of those units. Any questions on
Council,
that?
any questions? Or- No,
I thought the applicant would be here, but I don't see him.
thank you. All right, do we have a motion?
Move that we approve the waiver of tap fees for 3 single-family homes, southwest corner of West Golden Avenue and C Street, 410 and TBA West Golden Avenue, lots 1 through 4, and 5A, block 3, M, Newman Edition, Cripple Creek, Colorado.
And just for purposes of clarification, the agenda says 6,000.
Yeah.
But the request is for a waiver of 22,000. So is the motion to waive the entire 22,000?
It's so all tap fees for all 3 units. Yes, ma'am.
We need a second. All right, Melissa, vote please.
Councilman Mary.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Green.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wonderland.
Yes. All right, that is it for this evening. Thank you for your patience. And we are,
To come back.
oh, what?
We're gonna reconvene the Board of Appeals. You're gonna adjourn this meeting and reconvene the Board.
Okay. We'll adjourn the city council meeting and then come back to the Board of Appeals. We are adjourned. Thank you. I agree with you.